Good afternoon and welcome to ERPS, Employee Relations and Public Safety. I am Commissioner Ladina Bolton, your Super District 7 Commissioner and Chair of the committee. We also have committee members Shakira Johnson and Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson, along with Commissioners Robert Patrick and Ted Terry with us today. We are going to do a bit of moving around on the agenda. We have some folks that have to leave a little bit early. But first, I do want to ask if committee members have had an opportunity to review the minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have a motion?
Okay. Yes, I move to approve item 2025-1194.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Wonderful. Okay, we do have a presentation, but first we're going to go to item 2025-1088. This is all commission districts grant acceptance fiscal year 25 high intensity drug trafficking area. This is a grant of $276,156. Do we have someone to speak to this item? Is this PD? Oh, okay. Thank you for joining us.
Afternoon, everybody. I'm Assistant Chief Pop. If everybody doesn't know me, Chief Pedro got another appointment, couldn't be here. The HIDA grant is our annual grant, which is used primarily for our narcotics unit. It helps fund us targeting high-level drug trafficking organizations. And it goes for reimbursing expenses such as overtime costs, vehicle rentals, that type of thing.
Okay. Any questions or comments from committee members? Go ahead.
Just clarify, so this is the annual grant that you guys get?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions or comments from commissioners? Nope. Do we have? No. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve item 2025-1088.
We have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Wonderful. Okay, and we're going to do your next two items as well. Item 2025-1002, all commission districts. This is a renewal. Contract number 1342927. Decals for county vehicles. This is for use by the Department of Police Services, Fire Rescue, and the Marshal's Office. This contract consists of providing the production and installation of vinyl decals for county vehicles. This request seeks to ratify a previously provided contract during the first renewal term. And this request also seeks to exercise the second renewal option through July 31st, 2026, awarded to AKO Signs, Inc., an amount not to exceed $156,554. Okay, so this looks like both a ratification and a renewal. Is that right? When does the term ended July 31, 2025? Is that correct, Director?
I'm sorry, give me one moment, Commissioner. The ratification portion is similar to what you guys have heard me mention before. It's to make sure that the contract is still active until we get to a board review and approval time period. It's not because there was an issue with their agreement. So give me one moment. I can give you the date that you just asked about.
Okay. And in the meantime, are there any other questions or comments from committee members, excuse me? Okay, Commissioners Patrick or Terry, question or comment? Okay. And we'll give her just a moment. And also, I know you're still looking that up, but to clarify, the $156,000 covers both the ratification and the renewal. I guess I should have made that a question. Does it?
So Commissioner, yes, the funding source, the funding amount does cover the previous contract term increase ratification we asked about, as well as what the need is now for renewal term. Also, the request is for 30 days, so it was to make sure that the contract was still alive. So it would have been around July, the end of July. So just wanted to make sure that there was still something active for you to review.
Okay, thank you so much. If there are no other questions or comments, do we have a motion for this item?
Motion to approve.
Second. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And the next item, 2025-1076, all commission districts. This is a change order, number 4 to contract number 1295994, parts for vehicles and off-road equipment, including batteries. This is annual with 2 options to renew, and it's for use by Public Works, the fleet management to be used by Police Services. This request seeks to increase the contract funds and term through October 31st, 2026. Request will assist in acquiring necessary heavy-duty wraps for outfitting and upgrading the push bumpers of existing police vehicles for pit maneuver purposes. Awarded to West Chatham Warning Devices, Inc., amount not to exceed $176,375. Okay. Can you just expound a little bit on that item?
Sure. Starting this year, Post mandated that all police officers become PIT certified. If anybody's not familiar, PIT certification, when we tap the car and spin it out during a chase. With our new expanded chase policy, we absolutely need a way to end chases. So this just happens to coincide at the same time. What this will be for is for basically what you can look at as like a wraparound push bumper. And if you ever look at Georgia State Patrol cars, you'll see they have the big bumpers that go and come all the way kind of down the sides. And that's because the front corner of your car is used to tap the rear corner of their car. And if we do not, these bumpers will save damage to our vehicles. So that's what these are for.
Okay. Any questions or comments from committee members? Commissioner Terry?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Certainly support just having the right equipment, necessary to perform maneuvers. I will just express my general concern about, or maybe just a request for clarification on the policy and when it's being used. I think what we have seen over recent years, maybe more with the State Patrol, is that pit maneuvers have been used sometime appropriately, other times maybe not so, which have led to deaths and pedestrian accidents and injuries and deaths. And so, just personally speaking, I think, if there's a violent criminal on the loose and they're, racing through our streets, we should probably take care of that. So just trying to understand sort of the level of when the chase and the pit maneuver will be used. Is it for violent crimes? Is it for, what's the threshold, basically? You don't have to answer now, just more for clarification for us in the future. Thank you.
Commissioner Patrick?
Yeah, I would just echo what Commissioner Terry just said. Understanding the criteria by which it can be used, I think, would be helpful for us as the Board of Commissioners, and then also something for awareness for our residents so that they are more knowledgeable of when these activities can be used. Thank you.
Okay. So we may want to include the frequency at which we have to use it then as well when we invite you guys to come back and share that information. But if there are no other, you have Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson.
And also the areas in which you can use
Yes.
high-speed chases? Would they be in residential areas or just on highways or streets? So that would be, I'd like to know that as well.
Okay. And team, since the commissioners have lots of questions about this, can you remind me to go ahead and put them on the schedule to come back and share with us later? Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do we have a motion for this item?
I move to approve item 1067.
A second.
All in favor? Aye. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, so we're going to go back to the discussion section of the agenda. We have a presentation, inclusive hiring policy. I think we have an intern ready and prepared to join us. District 5 is showing out with all these interns coming in with these presentations.
Well, thank you. And she's coming up. While she's coming up, I'd just like to introduce her. And I think that this speaks volumes of our youth. DeKalb Bolton was my first intern. And not only are they presenting on a concept, they introduced the concept. And so we will have, after she speaks, we would like to have Ms. Benita Ranson, the director, and Jada Hayes, the deputy director, just to come up for just a couple of minutes to talk about what she will be proposing. So I'm pleased today to present Jada Montgomery. She was one of my interns, and she is the intern. Tomorrow is her last day. And she's presenting her Skills First hiring policy proposal. Jada is a graduating senior at Florida A&M University, where she is pursuing a bachelor's degree in psychology on the pre-law track. During her internship, she has demonstrated exceptional insight and dedication to advancing equitable hiring practices within DeKalb County government. Thank you, Jada.
Thank you, Commissioner Marita Davis-Johnson. I would also like to give a thanks to the chair of ERPS, Commissioner Ladina Bolton, as well as the committee members, Commissioner Marita Davis-Johnson and Commissioner Shakara Johnson. Thank you so much. I would like to first further introduce myself. Not only am I a graduating senior at Florida Agricultural Mechanical University, but I also grew up in DeKalb County. I graduated from Tucker High School, and and I feel like this policy proposal will benefit constituents in DeKalb County. So let's get into it. So the background. This proposal is inspired by other government agencies, such as that have passed the state, so Maryland, Pennsylvania, Colorado, Utah, North Carolina, and at least 25 states have taken steps, which are via executive orders, legislation, or administrative policies, to remove or de-emphasize four-year degree requirements for public sector jobs. Recently, the city of Chicago has passed an executive order that practices skills first hiring, and they passed this executive order because they wanted to create more job opportunities for veterans or residents in the city who do not hold a degree. And this will potentially benefit DeKalb County, and this is why I'm presenting this here today. So according to U.S. Department of Labor, skills first hiring, also known as skills-based hiring, is a practice of hiring or promoting employees based on the skills, knowledge, and abilities they can demonstrate, regardless of how or where those potentials were acquired. So how can this be implemented in DeKalb County government? The purpose is to reduce barriers for employment and career development, to practice skills first hiring, which removes formal degree requirements for many job classifications. Although practice of this approach already exists within our Human Resources Department, codifying this method will ensure consistent consideration and encourage qualified individuals with high school diplomas and GEDs to apply for roles where their skills and experience are valued. So the benefits of skills first hiring, to start off with, would be advancement opportunities for tenured employees. So this benefits the DeKalb County government because this can be promoted more fairly for constituents in DeKalb County by leading to stronger internal leadership. Next will be enhanced career development through apprenticeships. Individuals who have participated in apprenticeships or training programs with departments in the county, such as fleet management or watershed management, without a formal degree will have better chances of working their way up to leadership roles. Next will be faster hiring process. This will identify qualified candidates through skills assessments or experience-based evaluations. This benefits DeKalb County because this allows vacant positions to be filled more quickly. And it reduces gaps in critical services such as public health or sanitation for constituents. Next will be increased employee morale. A more motivated and fulfilled workforce provides better service and strengthens trust between government employees and the community. Next would be higher retention rates. It will give current employees a boost in morale in knowing that they have a chance to grow within their department and potentially earn a higher income, leading to individuals wanting to be committed. And then next, but last but not least, will be increased institutional knowledge. This will refers to the accumulation and retention of valuable skills, experiences, and insights that employees gain over time about how an organization functions, which includes its history, policies, and the community development within the county. Additionally, retaining employees who are also county residents will be a positive attribute in DeKalb County. Next will be the statistics that was provided by the HR May 2025 paybook. So just to read off of it, there are 6,600 individuals employed with the county. There are 750 job classifications. 320 of those classifications fall under job code described as leadership, which are executive, supervisory, and managerial. 85% of those leadership roles requires 5 to 10 years of experience. 74% of those leadership roles requires at least a bachelor's degree. And then up under non-leadership roles, there are 430 classifications that fall under job codes that are not described as leadership. 1% of non-leadership roles requires 5 to 10 years of experience. This includes high school diplomas and GEDs. 37% of non-leadership roles require at least a bachelor's degree. And this shows that Skills First should be implemented in DeKalb County government because 85% of those people that has 5 to 10 years of experience in a work setting are less likely to get a leadership role because 74% of those leadership roles requires at least a bachelor's degree. Now, the next steps for DeKalb County government. First will be training and awareness. This will look like educating hiring managers and HR staff about Skills First approach so they can effectively implement it. The next step would be request the CEO to reevaluate certain formal education requirements for leadership roles. This will look like revised county leadership roles to identify where bachelor degrees are listed as requirements but not truly necessary. Last but not least will be a communication plan, outlining how the county can communicate these changes to potential applicants and the public. This sums up my Skills First hiring approach presentation, and I'd also like to thank District 5, the team, Jackson Gamble, Demetrius Pinkett, Demetrius McCoy for introducing this topic to me and trusting me to present it to you guys today, and London Horsme for her demonstrating and directness on this presentation today, and Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson. It has been a pleasure for interning for you. Now I open up the floor for questions and comments, and questions that might be directed towards human resources. Thank you.
Go ahead. Commissioner?
Could I call up HR also? And excellent presentation. And I think that these young people is showing us that we'll be okay in the future because they have the skills and the ability to continue on. So very proud of you, Jada, very proud of the work that you've done. In my office, all of my interns worked very close together. They had a personal relationship and they worked for the benefit of the county, and so I appreciate that. And before we have questions, I would like for Director Ransom and the Deputy Director to come up and say just a couple of words. And then, okay. She'll share the mic.
She did a great job, right? And we enjoyed working with her too. We did. Commissioner, thank you a lot for just the whole idea of allowing interns to have a meaningful project to work on during the summer, because usually they just come file papers and kind of do menial tasks, but I think in this instance they have acquired skills that they can use in the future. So the one thing that I want to say that this project is very timely, because as all of you know, we're embarking on a comprehensive pay and class study. And so we're looking forward to making sure that our consultants, when they're reviewing all of our job classifications, that they will take into consideration this skills first framework that Jada has put together for us. So thank you. We'll call it the Jada Montgomery Skills First Framework. All right, so Jada, do you want to say something?
Yes. Good afternoon, commissioners. Again, just want to thank Commissioner Marita Johnson and your team. Jada, great job. Davis Johnson, sorry, on your project. As Jada mentioned, we do utilize an equivalency clause with the county where we will look at experience in lieu of degrees for certain positions, but this definitely takes us in the right direction of continuing that process. So thank you again, Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson.
Okay, thank you. And I didn't say Davis as a slight to Johnson. I always say Davis because that's my maiden name, and I don't want to give it up. And I want people to know that it's this Davis, not Hank Johnson, that's putting forth effort. So thank you. But yeah, so thank you all. And I have a resolution that has been passed out to everyone, and I would like for it to be discussed in ERPS at a later date.
All right, Jada. I do have a question for Director Ransom. I don't recall whether our leadership program requires a bachelor's degree. Was that a part of that programming, or with this, I guess now with the proposal of the Skills First hiring program, could these folks just go through the leadership training program and then potentially have an opportunity to move up?
Right, as Jada mentioned, many of our leadership positions do call for a bachelor's degree, but there's also an equivalency clause that says if you don't have the degree, you can have a combination of training, certification, and experience will also be considered as qualifying factors. So it's just not the degree that qualifies you.
Okay.
Yeah, now there are certain classifications where it's legally required to have a degree, like attorneys, librarians, nurses, engineers. So those we cannot have an equivalency clause. But the overwhelming majority do have equivalency clauses.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Commissioner Johnson?
Just a comment. Just wanted to thank you for the great presentation. You presented well, you spoke well. I love it when someone's always straight and to the point.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, and great work on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Terry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to say great job on the presentation, Jada, and the research. I remember years ago speaking to a high school class and kind of just sharing sort of the difference between a high school diploma and a college degree, and the amount of money that you can make over your lifetime. I think it's almost $1 million on average. And so by you recognizing that there are inequities in the ability for some individuals to go from high school to college or to get that post-secondary degree, it limits us and individuals in our community to seek advancement and good job employment opportunities. So this is a phenomenal opportunity for DeKalb to be a leader, to show that we're interested in folks' skill set, their life experiences, not just a diploma, which they're important, but clearly, I think as you've noted, recognizing this and then communicating it, hopefully will mean we'll have a greater pool of applicants and skill sets to work in DeKalb County. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And I do have a question for you, Jada. I've noticed that some interns have joined DeKalb County for consecutive years, multiple years in a row. Was that something that may have prompted you to want to work on this because maybe you or someone you've known who have been working with the county on projects or internships for multiple years, they didn't get an opportunity to work because they weren't degreed?
Well, this was first introduced to me by Demetrius McCoy, but it has provided me insight onto my father, who has gotten into his GED, but it has taken him some time to get into higher level roles, and I have discussed that with him, and I just wanted to better offer that for constituents in DeKalb County. It wasn't more so for me, but it was more so for the people that live here. So, and seeing that firsthand, I wanted to provide that opportunity for people that have been living or have been working into a work setting for more than 5 to 10 years, but they are not offered that leadership role, or they have been working towards it. I just wanted to make sure that it was like a policy, and I hope you guys could see that today. Thank you.
Yeah, I've heard there are some commissioners in their first couple of months don't get an opportunity to present a resolution, and you did it in a couple of weeks. So you should be very proud of yourself.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. Hey, I just want to say congratulations. Fantastic policy discussion. Very insightful, I thought. A question for Director Ransom, maybe down the line, is what incentives does the county offer for employees who don't necessarily meet that educational requirement, or that experience requirement, I should say, that the county would have some educational opportunities that could help them fast track their careers? If you don't mind, a quick second.
Yes, that's a good question. We do have training programs. In fact, one of them was started by Commissioner Davis Johnson, where we established a relationship with Georgia Piedmont Technical College, where they could come in, go to school, and also work in fleet and learn how to become a mechanic. So that is still ongoing and is working very well. And we also have training programs in watershed. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, it looks like there are no more questions or comments for Jada. All right, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay. So we are going to jump forward to item 2024-1233. This is all commission districts. A resolution asking for the DeKalb County Police Department to develop a diversion policy regarding unhoused individuals that considers other options to arresting and jailing them. And I believe you emailed something, I think maybe yesterday or recently.
Yes, Attorney Phillips had reminded me to make sure this gets pushed out, so I hope there's been time for commissioners to look at it. The language is still, I think, in alignment with the original intentions I had, which is ultimately to make sure that there's other alternatives that are available besides sending folks to jail, which doesn't necessarily provide them the opportunities to improve, and may in fact put some millstones around their neck where they have difficulties getting ahead. If I could call on Attorney Phillips to come on up, and then if there's any questions that the commission has, be happy to have him speak to those. I did not. I apologize.
Does staff have a printout? No? Okay. Yeah, I didn't get an opportunity to review the document.
Well.
Okay.
Well, Commissioner, I may summarize if that's helpful.
That would be appropriate. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, I realize you may be looking at the updated draft. We tried to precisely craft language to support what Commissioner Patrick was presenting. There are very minor tweaks, I hope. And the idea was to clarify that the DeKalb County Police Department enforces the law. They do that consistently for all people who violate the law, and they have a sensitivity to circumstance, and they exercise the appropriate discretion when circumstances are appropriate. An easy example for you would be making sure that people understand, recognizing all calls that come to the police are not necessarily accurate reports of violations of law. So the police are well trained and equipped to make judgment calls on the appropriate ways of dealing with circumstances. And I think that's the essence of what Commissioner Patrick has presented to you in this document. just making sure that the police are equipped to assist with the unhoused and some of the challenges they're facing in society that may result in police encounters that do not warrant addressing criminal activity. I hope that's a fair summary, Commissioner Patrick,
It's a very accurate
what
summary.
you presented.
Yes.
Okay. Given that many of your colleagues are reviewing it, we will certainly happily address any questions to the Madam Chair. If I know you're trying to push through your full agenda, if you or any of the commissioners have any specific questions, you guys are more than welcome to reach out to us, and we can address those offline if that would be helpful for efficiency today.
Madam Chair, I believe I'll have a hard copy here in a few moments. If it's of your opinion, maybe table this to the end of the meeting or to the rest of the agenda, and then if there's time, have a hard copy out here, and if anyone has any questions, happy to address them at that time.
Okay. You said you had a question, Commissioner Davis-Johnson. Go ahead.
I have a question while you're it's a resolution asking for the DeKalb County Department to develop a diversion policy. When you're talking about to develop a diversion policy regarding unhoused individuals that consider other options to arresting and jailing them. Okay, so this language within itself to me would mean that that person has committed a crime. If you're saying other options to arrest or jail them, because if they did not commit a crime, they would not be arrested and or jailed. So I'm a little concerned about that language.
Understood.
And
may I speak to that, Commissioner?
yeah, and
Yes.
well, before you speak, let me say, and then a diversion policy. So if you're having a policy, a diversion policy for the unhoused individual, what is that diversion policy? What does it entail? Do you have a place that you recommend they go? Or do you have resources that you can tap in to help them in that situation? And so my question is adding something to public safety officers without a clear course of what they should do, because if they're not arresting or jailing them, and if they see them on the street, which is not a crime, just to be on the street, what is that diversion policy?
Well, I'll just give you one example from the document itself. You'll see and I'm just reading, Commissioner Patrick, to be fair to you, the board calls upon agencies and nonprofit organizations to provide services to unhoused individuals that develop projects to combat homelessness, to identify themselves for inclusion in a resource guide, and aimed at assisting those experiencing homelessness. That would be a version of the types of resources I believe you're addressing, Commissioner Davis-Johnson. And the idea would be for the police department, the subject matter experts, to then take that as a part of the goal in this document and craft a policy that would guide officers in the field on how to take advantage of redirecting people to those things and the like. With respect to a specific crime being committed and the technical definition of diversion, I'm hesitant to give you a hypothet, but there's always prosecutorial discretion used, and officers being extremely careful in their professional judgment of when it would be appropriate to arrest someone and when it would be appropriate to offer someone some other resource or something like that. And that's the essence of this document, that some policy would be crafted around giving guidance so that officers know how to do that and can consistently engage those decisions in a way that's driven from the top down.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So Commissioner Patrick, with item 3, where it reads, the board calls upon the DeKalb County Police Department to divert unhoused individuals to organizations listed in the resource guide. Is that guide was that emailed as well? Is that supplemental to the resolution?
The guide was not included with that, but I believe that is something that the police department or staff is working on putting together.
And is that a list of the organizations we currently fund? For example, you know, the monies we may give to New Life to help with the housed.
I'll say that's been what I've been observing in the past, is that when there was an incident with a police officer being involved, Frontline was an organization that was involved in the conversation.
Okay. So just to confirm, you said there is a resource guide, but it wasn't shared as of yet. Is that what you said?
I believe that they're still putting together a final document that lists the different resources that are available, but as a matter of course, we have anything from community development to Frontline to CSB already active within the county.
Okay. I just want to make sure that it's available to the police department in document form so that they could use it as a
Understood.
guide. But go ahead, Commissioner Johnson.
So just to add to that conversation, the item before that also calls on those agencies that provide those services to be included in the resource guide. So I could see how at the adoption of this resolution, whenever we get to that point, that the resource guide would not be complete yet, if it's a call to action as part of the resolution. And then Commissioner Patrick has, I know we've had, I think the last time we had a conversation, more lengthy conversation on this item, I believe Chief Patrick came up and spoke on this item. Have they seen this revised copy yet?
This typically would not go forward without the administration's acknowledgement, but Attorney Phillips, do you mind confirming that?
I don't know that they have approved this yet, but I will make sure that they actually approve it before you take a vote, Commissioner.
Because the language and the red lines that I'm seeing, I personally don't think there'd be anything that they would have a problem with, but I would just like to know where they stand on it.
Received, Commissioner.
Thank you.
I'll make sure that goes to the appropriate police brass. Okay.
Commissioner Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have reviewed the I guess they're like purple line changes on this in my document, but the red lines, and I think they align with everything that we've been working on with the county. So to me, this reads similar to other resolutions we've done in the past, that they're urging resolutions. I think the expectation would be that if we did approve this, the police would come back within a certain number of days with sort of, here's our actual written policy. Maybe for, I don't know if we need to accept it or just, for us to know that it exists. And then I think the key point that looks like it was added to this version is number 4. The board recommends that the county prioritizes further investments for wraparound services and housing to assist unhoused individuals and families. Because I think that really is the key. Because if an officer or our street team is responding to a situation, and let's say someone is at a shopping center and they are trespassing, and they say, I'm not leaving, but there is literally no place to take them, then I think officers might say, well, I don't know. I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to ask you to leave, but if you don't leave, then you might get arrested, or they might get detained and taken somewhere. But if there's not a place to take them, then, so I think, this sort of really fits in line with, I think, the wraparound services, because if we are asking police to address homelessness themselves with just what they're given the power to do, they're going to get stuck at some point. And so if we have more housing units, if we have the wraparound services, then there will be a place to divert someone to. And not saying we don't have that now, it's just, it is capacity constrained, and it fills up pretty quickly.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, good point. Good point, Commissioner Terry. I think that directly connects to some of the questions we were asking about the resource guide, so officers know what they can do outside of what they have the authority to do with respect to their positions. But I also did want to ask about what our approach would be for item number 2, where it says the board calls upon agencies to identify themselves, and these are the agencies that do the work in helping to combat homelessness. Is there a suggestion for what our responsibility will be in that? Because just, having it here, they won't know that the call to action exists. You want to respond to that? Go ahead.
Yeah, many of these agencies we have already worked in collaboration with, especially during the COVID era, where we gave monies to numerous nonprofit corporations that have not only the homeless, but the downtrodden and those that was exposed to eviction. So I know that there's already a number of organizations that we can reach out to. Now, are there new organizations since we've addressed organizations during COVID? There probably are, and I think the best way to do that is for us to send out on social media and our email list of other organizations that would like to participate in it. But I do agree that it's going to take more than it being written in this document.
So what I heard was, I didn't hear it how you said it. I heard it how I interpreted it from actually multiple commissioners. In order for this resolution to draft a policy to work, there are things we have to take responsibility for, which is increased investment and I would say a marketing campaign to be more intentional about letting the community know we are working toward a diversion policy. Okay, so we have some work to do. It was one of y'all. Well, Commissioner Johnson, and then I come back over here.
Yeah, this kind of follows up the line of thought you were just having. So when we are talking about the actual creation of the resource guide, who is taking that specific responsibility on? I think it would be good for each commissioner if there's some type of social marketing collateral that we can share. I think that's a great idea. But once we collect all that, who we getting it to, who's actually physically doing the resource guide, I think this is a great idea, but I just wanted to be clear that we know who's responsible for actually creating it.
Do you have a suggestion for that, or are we still working through who would codify the resource guide?
Immediately the first thought that comes to mind would perhaps be the new housing officer, since they're going to be involved in that type of thing. But let me have a further conversation with staff and see if we can flesh that out more.
Commissioner Terry?
Yes. During the point in time count, community development, I believe, does have that resource guide. I think it's actually mandated as part of the federal HUD requirement. The thing I might, critique a little bit is that it's like on the website, or it's like, here's a bunch of numbers to call, and then it's like, go call them. It's kind of like sometimes how it manifests. Oh, you're homeless. Oh, just call this number, and you figure it out. And we also have navigators and street team that I think are there to assist, but the street team is like 2 people for the entire county. So just like giving just a little context of, like, again, I support the resolution because I think it's just saying, here's our intention. Mm-hmm. But like as y'all have all said, there's a lot more that goes after this. I would say that the unhoused planning process, I feel like they're going to hone in on this resource guide in the sense of like what's the practical use of it. And I think the way we saw when we were in San Antonio and Houston is it's not simply enough just to have a list of here's all the churches and nonprofits that can help you. It's actually though all of those nonprofits, I think in San Antonio it was like 70 organizations were under one roof. Mm-hmm. They're all at the table. And so instead of it just being a number to call, it's everyone is here. Like it could be probably 50 organizations in DeKalb County, and instead of them being kind of at arm's length, oh yeah, you're on a sheet, you know, if we need you, it's everyone is part of the solution of triaging, hey, here's 2 individuals, we need to find housing for them, you know, in the next 24 hours. Yep. And instead of saying, you call the people, all these organizations are already at the table, part of monthly meetings, and you're really, you know, you're tracking individuals, you're following up on them. So I think where I'd hope we would go in these next steps is resource guide, yes, but then it's really more about building that table. So the guide is actual people that are intricately involved in all of these discussions.
Absolutely, to your point. So as you guys may recall, I've put $100,000 into community development that has a person that sort of specifically targets, not a good word, specifically works within District 1 for the unhoused. So whether you're in Dunwoody, Tucker, any of the cities, unincorporated areas, that there is a resource through community development where they can try and build a relationship with that person that's on the street, and then try and get them into a more stable housing situation. So there's the process, and I guess really this is the encouragement to, as it says, rather than just having a complaint where someone potentially gets arrested, what are the other options that are there? And then we have some of the resources in place where those officers already know about this. Call Michael, and he will probably be the best person to talk with about getting you in touch with the next level of getting off the street.
Commissioner Davis Johnson.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I was going to say, I think that Commissioner Patrick just said it, because you have a resource with 100 different resources, and you're asking an officer to go through all of those 100 different resources, I think would be problematic. But if you had a number for them to call, to give them to call and let that other person on the other line deal with where they should go or what should be done, I think it would be more efficient and more effective. And so I guess that those things can be dealt with later, but I do like the concept. But, you know, to give the officers a resource book to go through every time they see somebody in a crisis, because they can be talking to someone and get a call that is a crisis, and that's it. So I think if they had a number that they could give someone to call, and that person is taking the call to get them to the best resource possible, would be more effective.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Okay, Attorney Phillips, I think what we would like to do is make sure that PD has had an opportunity to look at this and give us any feedback. That'll also give us time to ask any other questions that we have. I know some things have been flowing just now. We've been taking notes on some strategies and things we need to do to help make them successful. So at this time, I will take a motion from committee members, excuse me, for...
Madam Chair, may I make one comment before I take my seat?
Yes, sir.
I just want to remind the board that policy writing for the police department is an involved process. Mm-hmm. I certainly did not attempt to speak on behalf of the police department today. Their accreditation is always a consideration as they craft their policies, and I wanted to be careful before you closed your discussion to just acknowledge that and defer to the police on their view of what a policy, if any, should say and how they would function and the like. they are obviously the subject matter experts.
Absolutely. Actually, while you're saying that, I think it would be great not to just get feedback on what the resolution says, but what tools they believe they'll need to execute in addition to, we've made some suggestions up here, but I'd like to hear what they think they may need. You have something, COO?
Madam Chair, I'd just like to add, maybe next time we have this conversation, we bring in representatives from our homeless outreach team.
Yes.
Maybe Alan and his folks, and they can talk about the coordinated entry line and things like that. It'll help put, a framework around what we're talking about.
Sounds good.
I like that. So what are we looking at, about 30 days?
Yeah, at first I was thinking a 2-week, but that sounds more like a 30-day deferral. Okay. I move to defer item 1, 2, 3, 3 for 30 days.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next item, 2025-0683. All commission districts to approve a resolution to address egregious littering and the illegal dumping of scrap tires. You want to speak to this item, Commissioner?
Yes. The last conversation I had was with Marcus Allen, who is currently out of the office. And I believe they were still working with the ARC and coordinating with the different jurisdictions within the metro area on coming up with sort of a coordinated response. Shannon, are you or not? Okay. So I would ask if we could defer. Will Marcus be back in about 30 days? Okay, let's go for 60 days if that's all right.
Okay, 60 days. And we also have this on, well, I'm not going to include that. I was going to say we were talking about it with our legislative agenda as well, but go ahead, Commissioner. You wanted to say something?
Yeah. In fact, I wanted to make the motion for 60 days because I think that this is a crucial issue, not only in my district, but in everyone's district, because people are dumping tires. And that means that somebody has to remove it. And they're doing it in DeKalb County. It's on us, and we're not getting compensated for that. And so I think that we need to do a deep dive, work with our neighboring jurisdictions to see what would be the most effective way to do this. And so 60 days should give Marcus a chance to come back and give us the time to speak, an opportunity to speak with all neighboring jurisdictions.
Okay.
And I'll also add that I believe Kathy Reed with Sustainability has been working on this as well. There was a recent tire dumping over in the city of Tucker, and so I was able to put city of Tucker in touch with Kathy, and so they are also working on coordination on this issue as a larger sense. And from talking with Marcus, I believe the strategy is this year we work more at the local level and coordinating with our neighbors on a unified approach, and then for the 2027, I guess, legislative agenda packet, we look to talk about legislatively what needs to change to change the incentives where it's financially advantageous to actually take the tires to the recycling center where you can get paid at that point, as opposed to someone pays the money and all of a sudden things move around and then it's dropped off in someone's yard. And so we want to make sure we can get the benefits aligned for the recycling program to begin with as well.
Does it also include strategies for the tires that have currently been dumped, or is this a strategy for future
So I think this is going to be for the future. I know that I don't want to get too far ahead of Kathy, but I believe they've come up with some strategies working with property owners as well as through the state on some compensation approaches. But as CEO said, it's not enough to cover everything.
And just curious, has this included also, and I'm not even sure how to describe it, but I know like a lot of parks and play areas are now basically reusing or recycling tires. Is that something we've considered to try to give them away?
That is sort of the process, as I understand it, is and I forget the name of the tire recycling company in Georgia, but they get the tires, they get recycled, and then they can be put into the playground equipment where it's softer to land or fall on. Again, that's all part of the process, but it's in getting more tires into that stream as opposed to just dropping them off in the neighborhoods, which is the issue. And so I think that's from a legislative perspective, next year we may have more information on how to make sure there's an alignment with the reward and the benefit of doing the recycling is captured by whoever actually delivers the tires to the recycling place. But again, we're looking for a deeper dive on that.
Commissioner Johnson, did you have something? I'm sorry, Commissioner Terry.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I did do some research on this item, and I think I had reached out to the law department just for some clarification, because it does appear that we are able, I mean, there's a definition that's called scrap tire generator.
Yep.
I believe we do this, but maybe we can clarify whether all commercial scrap tire generators are required to register with the Department of Public Works. That's under OCGA 12-8-40.1A. And it appears that they're required to keep records for 3 years, maintaining their manifest, scrap tire records. The records can be made available upon inspection, the county upon request. And so I think, what I've observed, and this is going back to my small city days, Robert, you'll appreciate this, is we had some tire shops that were collecting the fee, and then in the back of the shop, it was just packed with tires. And at some point, they say, "I got to get rid of these tires," and I know a guy. We'll take it off your hand, and then they end up in a creek or a park somewhere. But if we at least can make sure that our businesses that are scrap tire generators, like auto repair shops, tire companies, are registering, and they have to record on the manifest, and we find a tire in a creek that is actually in that manifest, some database that we can track it down to the actual producer. Now, if they come from out of a jurisdiction, that's another issue, but I'm assuming that part of the problem is local scrap tire generators is where the tires are coming from. They're just taking it down the road.
And I think that there's misalignments with certain section of the code, if I understand correctly from Marcus, that they're also researching. So that in 60 days when Marcus is back, I think we'll have a better understanding of where this is in the process. But that's my understanding is yes, there are code things that can speak to that, but there may be some inconsistencies within the existing code that need to be fleshed out. And then that notion of, again, coordination with the municipalities within DeKalb, but then our surrounding neighboring jurisdictions, coordinating with them to make sure that we're all on the same page when it comes to enforcement and the mechanisms we have in place. So,
Can I make a suggestion?
Please.
I know Marcus is assigned to this. Can the law department respond to those issues in the meantime? Because I'd hate for us to just pause things for 60 days and then he picks it back up. No offense to him.
So I think also Mr. Manson has been sort of pinch hitting on this a little bit as well. So if we have a little bit of time flexibility, I believe those conversations are happening right now, but it just gets time to get a more current updated perspective of where things are.
So that would be my comment. I understand the 60 days, but would love to see if we could do it before the 60 days. 45 days, but I get that we still have a lot of stuff to work out and with the staffing, but it is an important item, so we'd love to see us get to it.
Commissioner Davis Johnson.
Yeah. The only thing that I'm saying to this, and there's always side issues that we have to work out, but we need a resolution to this. And often final resolutions take time. You don't rush through them, especially when you're dealing with different jurisdictions and different sources of people that you're coordinating with. So 45 days, if it's 45 days, 60 days, and if we get something before 60 days, then Robert Patrick can come back and say, okay, it's ready to be put on the calendar. But when you're trying to resolve important issues that have been issues for years, and no one have resolved them, I don't think the 60 days will be a barrier to that. And so if he gets it before 60 days, he'll let us know. He may get it in the next 2 or 3 weeks, you know, but if we say 60 days, that should give us ample time to look at the issue, to see what other jurisdictions are saying, to look at law and whomever else, Marcus, central staff, and whomever else we need to get opinions from. So my motion stands for 60 days.
Okay. And I just want to ask, because it was kind of indicated in the comment you made, Commissioner Terry, that we at least have something through Public Works where it should be documented, but it's a part of it might be making sure we enforce and periodically, whether it's an audit or review, to make sure we're following through. Is that what you were indicating? We have something, but we just need to utilize it?
Well, that's I was hoping Law and Zach could just, because I think the state solid waste management law says that the county can require a scrap tire generator registry, a manifest, and that, like, in theory, the Public Works Department is sort of the agent or the department that has to manage that list. So, but I don't know, the Muni code is sometimes confusing and it's not really clear. I sometimes can't find things. So I just would ask if that law is already on the books, then simply maybe just making sure the resolution is sort of incorporating, because I think what Commissioner Patrick's focusing on is sort of the punishment enforcement. And I'm just wondering if we can look at it holistically and start from the source.
So that's the idea
tires as
actually
well.
of what Marcus has been working on in the background, which is, again, the legislative component, but also enforcement, but understanding how things, when they come into the state, where they go, how that recycling money is captured, and then how that recycling money is then returned once the tire's been taken to, is it Bell? Liberty, that's it, Liberty Bell. But Liberty Tire. But that again is what he's looking at, and again, there is that component of coordination with our surrounding jurisdictions. So if we come up with a airtight, solid approach to tires, but we don't talk about anything else, any of the other jurisdictions, we don't have a win. We have a great ordinance, but we don't have a win. And so that's where the sort of the challenges have been is confirming our processes and then coordinating with our neighboring jurisdictions.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Does the tires have ID numbers on it?
I think that's what the law says, that they have to actually say serial number so-and-so on the manifest. But again, that's just where I would like the law department just to clarify is that it looks like
Can you speak to
OCGA
that?
allows us to do that under our solid waste management permit.
Well, I can't tell you what the law says because I haven't read it, honestly, but I'm happy to go back, look at it, distribute it to the commissioners so that y'all will know what the state law says. That might give you a starting point. Otherwise, we were waiting for the process to work through and then review what came out of the process. Yeah. So why don't we do that? We'll pull the state law, get it to you guys to look at, and highlight any portions in the state law that might be helpful. Okay. How about that?
And if it's possible, please keep Marcus involved in the conversation, sure, as well Absolutely. As Mr. Manson on the background as well, so that we're not tripping over ourselves to get to the finish line.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Linkus. Are there any other questions or comments from commissioners? Commissioner Davis Johnson, can you repeat your motion?
60 days deferral.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Next item, 2025-0959, all commission districts. This is an agreement of mutual aid and automatic aid between DeKalb County, Georgia and Rockdale County, Georgia for fire and rescue services. How you doing, Chief?
I'm doing well, Commissioner, and to all the commissioners, good afternoon. This is a mutual aid agreement between DeKalb County and Rockdale County. It is actually updating one that was first initiated back in 2019, and it is for automatic and mutual aid agreement. The automatic portion means that any time that there would be a call in a described area, the other entity would provide service automatically, meaning that that would initiate at our 911 center. The area that we're discussing here is along our eastern border with Rockdale County. The agreement states that it is for 1 mile in to DeKalb or 1 mile into Rockdale, whichever one is providing service. The reason for the update is because they've had some changes in leadership in Rockdale. We're also taking the opportunity to codify our training agreement. That was a verbal agreement. We've been doing training with them. The new agreement will state that very clearly, and also, since we're doing it at this time, if you were to approve it, we would extend it for another 10 years.
So is this to approve the actual agreement that's been made, or just to give you consent to work through a new agreement? Because I did hear you say you guys were trying to make some updates to that, the training component.
This would have the board approving the agreement that includes those items that I spoke about. So
Okay.
the agreement itself is what you would be approving if you were to do so today.
Okay, and for the next 10 years, you say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from committee members? Okay, commissioners. Do we have a motion for this item?
I move to approve item 2025-0959.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, next item, 2025-1104. This is all commission districts. A change order, number 4, to contract number 121886, self-contained breathing apparatus purchase, repair, and maintenance for use by the Department of Fire Rescue Services. This contract consists of the purchase, repair, and maintenance and management of the county's SCBA equipment. This request seeks to increase the contract funds and term through March 30th, 2026. This request also seeks a consent to assign the contract and remaining contract funds and term from Municipal Emergency Services, Inc. to MES Service Company, LLC. Awarded to MES Service Company, LLC in an amount not to exceed $268,000.
Yes, Commissioner, as you stated, there's 2 reasons for us bringing this before you today. One is that there's been a name change to the company that originally had the agreement from MES to MES Service Company. And also, we're asking to extend the contract for 6 months to allow time for the ITB processing. The SCBAs are the air packs that the firefighters wear on their back when they're entering a hazardous environment. So this would allow us to utilize this company for repairs and, if needed, purchasing new SCBAs.
Any questions or comments from committee members? Commissioner Terry? No? Do we have a motion for this item?
I move to approve item 2025-1104.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome, sir. Item 2025-1153, all commission districts. This is for the acceptance of grant funds in the amount of $24,780 from the Centers for Disease Control through the Georgia Department of Public Health for the DeKalb County Medical Examiner's Office.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
So this is a continuation. We've had this grant, I think this is our 6th year renewing this grant. The amount changes year to year, but the context and the obligations under the grant do not. And so it's just a continuation on the same funds that we've received year over year.
The amount awarded, is that contingent upon performance or something we have anything to do with?
No, it's basically decided by the CDC. This is the lowest amount we've been awarded in recent memory. Obviously, there's some funding issues going on at the federal level, so we're getting a little bit less this year, which is disappointing, but we will make do with what we have.
Any Commissioner Davis Johnson?
And what are these funds to be used for?
This helps with our surveillance, our testing for drug overdose deaths, and the reporting to the Department of Public Health.
And what has the average amount of the grants been
it varies.
this year?
I think the maximum amount we received, this was before I came on board, but it was in the $50,000 range. So it has varied from year to year, but somewhere between what we are getting this year, which is around $25,000 up to about $50,000.
Do we?
And so that would
sorry.
not affect the testing and other stuff that you utilize it for? I would assume you have to pull
Yeah,
other
we
funds in.
look for other sources of funding when we have to. We still maintain the highest level of service that we possibly can, so it just helps us out when we get it.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Commissioner Terry?
Well, I'm so glad we gave you a little extra money to work with.
As am I, sir.
Because hopefully that fits into some of these
Yes,
things
it
that maybe
absolutely
the grant
does.
would have covered anyways.
It absolutely does, so thank you.
Do we have a motion for this item?
Yes, I move to approve item 2025-1153.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
So there was a request for item 2025-1107 to be held in committee. And I know, look at us. So that brings us to the end of our agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion to,
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
It was asked to be held by whom?
At the request of the police department.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.